You're listening to Maximum Medicine Radio with host Doc Martin. How do you step into your maximum potential? How do you connect your spiritual drive with your physical path? Get ready to meet the maximum you the world needs on Maximum Medicine Radio with Doc Martin now. What if GLP-1 medications were actually a gateway to restoring the relationship that human beings have with food? Could it be that there is a bigger evolutionary process going on? Could it be more than fitting into the right size clothing or looking better in a bathing suit? What if something was bigger, deeper, more profound? I wonder. One of the most important things that a physician faces every day is to help people overall live a healthier life, longer, healthier. And there are many, many people in America today who have obesity. Many people who have been told for years that it's just willpower, that all you have to do is push yourself away from the table, that all you have to do is stop your elbow action. I could go on and on about the paternalism, the top-down, condescending nature of those kinds of discussions. But I think it's most important to show how we have moved away from thinking that obesity is just about willpower. In fact, the newest models of obesity are quick to say, this is a complex issue, it's multifactorial, and it involves hormonal levels and relationships between the appetite centers of your brain and hormones coming from the body, from fat tissue, from the gut, in ways we don't fully understand. And they are quick to say, unlike 30 years ago, these are actions happening subcortical in your brain, meaning not in the higher centers of the cortex. So that means that it is not in conscious control. Well, any obese patient that I've treated, and we'll talk about GLP-1s in a minute, any patient that I have treated will tell you that in order to maintain control, even going to Weight Watchers, TOPS, doing the MyFit, any kind of tool, it takes a constant awareness to the point where it feels like a drill sergeant, that everywhere you turn is a rule and something telling you no, and no, you can't do that. And that is really, really hard to overcome. And it is a constant pressure. Nobody wants to live under the gun of a drill sergeant every day, all day, 24/7, 7 days a week, 365. And it turns out that obesity is complex. And I asked myself, when I looked up in my medical literature, why is there an epidemic of obesity? Why? Like, how did this happen to humankind? And more likely to Americans. And it is thought that there are multiple factors of which are being investigated these days. And I don't know enough about to teach you about it. But it is endocrine, meaning hormonal. There are chemicals in our food that are felt to disrupt hormonal pathways. It's felt to be due to highly processed foods. It's felt to be due, in some theories, to the type of food you eat that kicks on an insulin spike. So anything you eat that turns immediately into sugar, so those are refined starches, and by that we mean Refined meaning there's not a lot of fiber to slow the digestion. It's a quick turn into sugar, so sugar itself, cakes, cookies, bread that doesn't have a lot of fiber, pasta that doesn't have fiber. These things are quick to turn on an insulin spike. Insulin promotes obesity. It sends the sugar in your blood system straight into making fat. And insulin causes many other things that are harmful in the long run. It is felt to actually be a contributor to dementia, a big contributor to atherosclerotic plaque in your arteries, so clogged arteries. And so that's one theory, is we eat the wrong kinds of things. And our air has particle and pollutants that have felt to disrupt our hormonal cycle. And the quality of the food we eat has shifted over the last 50 years. So those theories tell you why everybody gained weight. They also talk about how we've been more sedentary. And in fact, when people left the farming lands and moved to the city for jobs, by very nature, you're not out working, walking, bending, and you are more sedentary. So that's probably contributed to it a bit. But then the next thing that happened, and this was a major, major game changer for medicine, and I'm sure for many of you who do this for personal reasons, along came the GLP-1s. Now, these are referred to in the common terms in social media, the shot, Ozempic, which is the same chemical as Wegovy, Mounjaro, which is the same chemical as Zepbound. These medications were a game changer. For the first time, we were able to get a person who was diabetic and obese, and sometimes not obese, just diabetic, and miraculously bring their sugars down and phenomenally bring their weight down. So doctors obviously started prescribing this left and right. In fact, there's probably, and this is a very, very conservative estimate, 4 million people in 2023 were given a prescription for Ozempic. But then people also get it from compounding pharmacies online and not necessarily tracked by the ability we have to track prescriptions. So there's probably, I'm going to say, 7.5 million people on these medications. And let me tell you why that is a good thing in many instances. And I do think we're going to start, the scientists among us are going to start picking this apart and finding out more details. So these GLP-1s, not only do they help you lose weight, they actually do other things in your body. They reduce inflammatory markers, and they've been shown that they could reduce the markers that are present in rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis, and lupus. They actually reduce fatty liver disease. They actually improve long-term cardiovascular outcomes. So let me say that in a little bit more easy to follow way. They actually prevent the damage from heart-related conditions. They prevent major cardiovascular events like heart attack and stroke. In fact, in November this past year, the American College of Cardiology has recommended this GLP-1 medications as core medications. So we're not talking cosmetics. We're not talking whether Kim Kardashian can fit into Marilyn Monroe's dress and had to lose 16 pounds in a short amount of time. We are talking about major events, major things. GLP-1s might prevent the decline in kidney function. So with age, your kidney function goes down. This might actually keep it from happening as quickly. Now, I'll be the first to tell you there are problems with these medications. The first thing you ask a patient is any family history of thyroid cancer, because you do not want to take this medicine. If you lose weight too quickly and over time, you can get gallbladder disease. You can get pancreatitis. That's an inflammation of the pancreas. And I'm here to tell you that baby is painful and really, really hard to recover from. It is not a good thing. But the other things that it might do, I think on balance, if you discuss this with patients or if you decide for yourself to take it, ask yourself if it's really worth it. But I want to talk to you about one other thing, and I'm going to go a little bit off. And you guys probably know I'm trained in shamanic and energy healing techniques. So I have trained with understanding the energy body and the perhaps invisible, unseen things that are happening in processes with humans and their relationship to nature, with humans and their relationship to their own evolution. So I want to pick that apart a little bit for you and start with something very physical I've seen in my patients. I have patients who will eat a full supper and then get up and go to the refrigerator and stand there and wonder what they can have next. I have patients that will sit in front of the television and just keep eating. I have patients that wake up in the middle of the night, think that they're hungry, and eat. But then along came these medications. And what is happening is really a reduction in the addiction we have to food. And that, again, is a hormonal and complex chemical question. But the GLP-1s actually reduce the cravings for food, especially high-fat food. And they might actually reduce the addiction potential of other things like nicotine, heroin. There's something happening that I don't know enough about yet. I'm hoping the scientists are going to figure it out. But there's something big happening in our relationship to food. And I see this in my patients. And I ask them to start to think about this, because what GLP-1s do that I see, that I focus on, because I think it's amazing, is they give you a space in your brain where there aren't all these thoughts of what do I get next? What can I eat next? I need more. What time is lunch? It's only breakfast, but I want to know what I'm having for supper. That space, and I ask my patients to reflect on this. When you have that freedom from those thoughts, and in social media, it's called food noise. When you have the freedom from these thoughts, then you get to stop and use awareness to reflect. How does my body really feel? And I've asked people to start to pick apart what they used to call hunger and break it down. Is this, oh my gosh, I see a pecan pie. My mom used to make pecan pies. I love pecan pie. I've got to have a piece. Is it a memory? Is it you're at a buffet and all of a sudden all this stuff goes past you and you are tempted? Is it temptation? Is it a habit? It's that time of day, so of course you have to eat. Is it a social event? You go out with your friends, they all buy an order of nachos and you're going to have them too. Is it that? Or if you start to really pay attention, and I think before these medicines, a person didn't have space in their brain to pay attention because their brain was bombarded by these addictive thoughts from an unbalanced, out of control hormonal relationship between your brain and your body. But now you have space. So now, am I actually hungry? Are my cells telling me that I need food, nourishment, sustenance? Because I think for years we have not had good communication with our bodies. We are not in sync with them as much as we could be. So I ask my patients to reflect on this, because once you start to reflect and you see a table that's got yogurt and a piece of fruit and a donut, with your cells talking, you will choose the yogurt or the fruit. And if you choose the donut because of a memory, because of temptation, because of, I haven't had one of those in a long time, afterwards, most people tell me, they go, ugh, that didn't do anything for me. Well, we're back then to recognizing that what you're eating is actually giving your cells nourishment. And when you finally have the freedom in your head to reflect on that, you start to choose better foods. And it's amazing to me how many of my patients have said, oh my gosh, I'm eating more fruits and vegetables. Oh, I can't even look at cakes anymore. And they start to change what they put in their bodies. And besides losing weight, besides improving their diabetes, besides improving inflammation, besides reducing the risk of Alzheimer's and autoimmune conditions, that's the stuff I like to think about, they are actually starting to regain a relationship with food, to make it be a nourishment, to make it feed your cells. And they start to eat better, and they start to crave the good stuff. So when I say, and I do say this, I think about this a lot, there is a revolution going on about our evolution. For whatever energetic reasons, beyond all of the science of why we got obese, whatever energetic reasons we as a species got obese, and more in this country perhaps than others, I think we are now having a revolution to shift our evolution towards a healthier relationship to our food. And then I think we are going to start paying more attention to the quality of our food. There are people who already pay attention to this, but most of us don't. But I think that's going to change. And then we're going to, this is my dream, my hope, my dream, we are going to start looking at our farming practices that deplete the nutrients in the top layer of the soil. We are going to start requiring through voting policies that protect our air, protect us from the consequences of pollutants, protect our water. We are going to start living, this is big picture here, this is my dream, better relationship with the earth, because there's where our sustenance comes from in all aspects. Food, support, beauty, energy, spirituality. So when I say to you that I think that GLP-1s are the gateway, I really believe that. Now, I do want to offer the caution. I do not think rapid weight loss is a good idea. I do not think that a person should lose more than 2 pounds a week. That is a sustainable weight loss, and it gives you time to adjust, to choose your foods, and it will hopefully prevent the scary side effects of pancreatitis and other things that you can get from GLP-1s. But if you're going to use it, slow and steady, and start to learn to connect to your body again. Learn how to talk, how to feel. Does this feel good when I eat it? Do my cells tell me they're happy? Now that sounds corny, but if you start to pay attention, I can promise you, you're going to know what I'm talking about. So I think we are way beyond the idea that obesity is a willpower thing. We are way beyond a poor relationship with food. I think this is a revolution. I do have thoughts, maybe this is for another video, on the energetics. Why, from an energetic perspective, were so many people obese? And I do have thoughts on that because I think about that stuff a lot. Well, maybe a little, but so revolution for our evolution. Take it if you want to be safe. And even after you've lost your weight, you might consider very low dose to maintain that anti-inflammatory, anti-dementia, anti-autoimmune disease. Keeping a low level of that. I don't know the long-term safety of that yet, but I wonder. So, as always, when you are well, you are alive.
You've been listening to Maximum Medicine Radio with Doc Martin. Tune in next time while the doc talks health, spirituality, and the impact your beliefs have on every part of who you are, body and soul. Doc Martin unpacks the challenges we face as human beings. To learn more about Doc Martin and Maximum Medicine, visit www.sharonmartinmd.com.